Hi y'all, it's Lexi. Believe it or not, I'm making a video. It's been a long time. A lot has happened. But at the same time, I don't know, my day-to-day life since my last video has been kind of the same. Um, so it's not totally inappropriate that I haven't made a video in this whole time, but there's still a lot to say. I live in a new place. For the month of November, I was crashing in the spare room of some friends, and now a bedroom in their place has opened up, and I'm staying with them for the winter. It's nice to have my own space. It's really, really nice. And it's really good for the opportunity to sort myself out, like sort my things out, and try to reduce belongings and just take stock. Um, oh, here's my T-shirt. Boom. Um, this is Daptone. Oh, did I do this one already? I didn't even check. I don't think so because I haven't been able to find this shirt in a while. This is Daptone Studios. It's a House of Soul. Bushwick, Brooklyn. It's on actually the Daptone. It's like a soul, modern soul record. Well, it's a modern record label of old soul. I mean, most of you probably know, and this is a boring explanation. There's a cat crawling around. Um, but it's awesome. Look them up, Daptone. They're on Troutman, near where I used to live. Um, so much to say, and I will try not to say it all in this video so that I motivate myself to get back in the groove of making videos. Lots of physical stuff is new and different, as you can imagine, since October. But let me do that in the next video. There's a lot to say. I want to talk about my families. Um, so, for Thanksgiving, I went to California with my girlfriend, Christina. We did a DJ tour of California, and um, I introduced her to my dad's family, and we had just a general good time. One of my dear friends in San Francisco put us up and showed us around. I knew he would because he's awesome and he knows the city like nobody else, and showed us all the awesome stuff. And it was Christina's first time in San Francisco, and um, I really wanted to do it right. I wanted to show her because it's one of the special places in the world, and a place that's special to me. Um, so we did that. And we went to Sonoma. We did a whole bunch of great stuff, and played six parties or seven parties in California and San Francisco, Santa Cruz, and L.A. And had Thanksgiving with my extended family. Um, there's so much to say about this trip, but I'll just stick to the pertinent stuff. The day before Thanksgiving, we ran into other friends, the same circle of friends in San Francisco as the guy we were staying with, and had like this beautiful impromptu Thanksgiving dinner with them, and they weren't planning on having a big Thanksgiving to do, and then we ended up the five of us, me and Christina and the people, having just this marvelous magical time, and I got to explain one of the people whose house it was. I don't know. She's important to me, and I didn't, we weren't like vibing on my new life direction previous to this, and I got to take the time to answer all her questions and explore it thoroughly, and I think she understands better where I'm coming from, and it's really special because I wanted her on board. Melanie. Hi. Um, so, and then we had Thanksgiving Day, Thanksgiving night, at my second cousins and company, in Northern California, and that was really, really cool. Apparently they had been excited to check me out, and even though I heard that report, they weren't very probing when I was there. They were glad to see me, but they weren't digging in with questions. and I was, I don't know, I wanted them to, so I sort of encouraged it, and then um, the next morning I got deeper with a couple people and opened up and gave them a better idea of where I'm at, and then um, one of the people in that family is my cousin Gina, who's been invaluable, um, and just been a really special friend and help. I always wanted to be better friends with her, and now we have the opportunity, so that's really great. Um, but so she was very helpful instrument in orchestrating that, and we hung out after Thanksgiving dinner, her and her brother and me and Christina and her brother's wife, and I don't know, palled around, drinking games, didn't even have shoes on, traveled across Los Gatos, California with no shoes on, and silly fun, and and then the day after Thanksgiving, we had another dinner with my immediate family, which I don't know. I know family, my extended family really well, so I think of my immediate family as my cousins and aunts and uncles, and my grandmother, and most of them on my dad's side were gathered in Southern California the day after, and they were really wonderful um, about about dealing with me. They were simple and curious, and not asking questions that assume. See, I always look into this camera and you can't really fix anything because it's not, it's not a mirror. It's backwards. Sorry. So they were asking questions that didn't assume weird things. All these flyaways, damn it, and didn't assume weird things. And then we got into like a genuinely really like interesting discussion about, what this means in society and people's individual histories with their sexuality and their I don't know. It was really great. It was like ideal. It was the best I could have hoped for, and I had some good special time with them individually, and it was really great. It was pretty much a dream. Christina wowed them, and she was really impressed by them. It was really best case scenario, and it was hard not having Julie there, my ex, because I love her and she loves my family and my family loves her, my dad's side anyway. And I don't know. She had a place at that table in my mind. Um, but it's cool. I mean, there's so much to say. So the California trip was big and really powerful in general and because of family. But and then at the end of the trip, this crucial. At the end of the trip, we stayed over at Gina's house in LA. She lives in LA, even though she was from up north. And we stayed over at her and her girlfriend's house, and I don't know. It's really, I mean, it's meaningful for me to bond with Gina in general, but it's really special for me to be, I don't know, in a lesbian environment. I mean, it's them and me and Christina, and they had a friend over, who's part of their like Dyke Fantasy Football League, and which has a lot of people in it apparently, and it's just really, I don't know, it's just really powerful for me to be in an environment like that and be concluded and accepted and be, part of the gang, part of the girls. So then that was Thanksgiving, and Christmas. I don't even know if I have time for this. It's already at 10 minutes. At Christmas, I went on my own without Christina to see my mom's family, and it was very different. They, I mean, my mom, really wanted to see me. But at first, she asked me not to come home for Christmas. My grandmother didn't know. My grandmother was the last person to find out, and I did tell her on this trip, but my grandmother didn't know, and they didn't want me stirring up shit and bringing it up. And I was like, nuh-uh. So my mom didn't want me to come home for Christmas initially, and she unfriended me on Facebook. Uh, and it's not as bad as it sounds. She didn't want my grandmother stumbling on me posting anything, questionable, which I haven't been on posting on my normal Facebook anyway. Soon to change. And but eventually, her desire to see me kind of overcame that, and I really wanted to spend Christina with Christmas. I really wanted to spend Christmas with Christina and just have a really chill, lovely time, us just being together and lovers, and it would have been a beautiful time, but I wanted to be in those family pictures, and I wanted to give them an opportunity to see me one more time, because next Christmas things will be very different. And so I went at great expense, between the plane, the last minute Christmas plane flight, and the rental car, and the lost work. I basically dropped $1,000 on this trip, not knowing if my mom was even really gonna let me through the door in parts of it. And but I knew, they all wanted to see me, and they couldn't properly explain to my grandmother why I wouldn't go, so they couldn't pull that card. So I went, and I had the rental car for an escape pod if I needed it, and I felt really confident things would go well, and things did not go even to my expectation. They tried. I mean, they made it. There were a lot of people. My mom and two of her sisters were staying in the house. One of them lives there permanently now, and the third sister came for Christmas Eve, and people were kind of ignoring me. People did not really talk about me or talk to me very much, and the only question that anyone would ever ask is, how's work going? Which is a marked difference from normal, because usually they criticize everything, like, why don't I shave my beard? Ha ha ha. And ha ha ha. And why don't I cut my hair? I gained weight, I lost weight. It's always some bullshit. And they didn't even go near that. They just weren't talking about me or talking to me, and the only question was about how's work going, because that's really safe, right? And my plan was to tell my grandmother after Christmas Day. So we had a nice Christmas Eve. And we had a nice Christmas Day. I got really crabby because I thought, I don't know, I was just getting down about people ignoring me. And there's a lot of family issue. But that's more for me and my therapist. And, to work out with my family. I'd like to tell you, but it's talking out of school a little bit. But I do think I get an unfair shake from my family in general. My mom's family, and my brother agrees with me. But anyway, I'm working towards repairing that. But I was down at the time, and I got kind of crabby. And then, they were going out of their way, not going out of their way, but my therapist, when I first started with my therapist, she asked me, how much did gender play a role in my growing up? And I told her, not very much. My parents were really open about things, and artistic, and people could do whatever they wanted to do. And I was wrong. Part of it I was turning a blind eye to, and part of it I just was oblivious to. And that household is a very gendered experience. The women, one of the meals, my uncle cooked steaks, but the meals were generally prepared by the women, and I wanted that experience with my mom. I'm kind of scared of cooking, and I wanted that experience with my mom to help prepare the meal, and they were kind of not being very welcoming in that regard. They just didn't want me in the kitchen. And I tried really hard to be the first one up, grabbing plates off the dinner table, or one of the first anyway, if I could remember it, because the women grabbed the plates, and take him into the kitchen while the guys like eat dessert or some shit, which I was always really uncomfortable with, and now extremely uncomfortable with being on the receiving end of, because like the you know like people perceived as cisgendered men, white cisgendered men have like supposed to be the top of the pyramid on privilege, right? But I have always been extremely uncomfortable with receiving that kind of privilege. And so it was like the worst of all worlds, because I don't know, I would, benefit. I mean, the privilege is real, but really, be really uncomfortable about the whole thing and not, be unhappy and not enjoy. It was like painful for me to receive those kinds of privileges. So, I don't want to like sit around at the dinner table while the other girls pick up the plates. I just feel really crappy. So, tried to pick up, jump up and get the plates. And like, one of my aunts got this really nice ring, really, really nice ring. And I'm not such a stereotypical girl that I want to like, see, that I'm like obsessed with jewelry, but it's not like I don't want to see the ring. And she walks around to the taller girls and shows off her ring, and I'm sitting right there in between everybody, and they just like brush past me like I'm not interested, and like I'm interested. I wanted to see the ring. So it's a gendered environment, and that was some. I got sour about that, and part of the gendered environment is that they, there's a lot of cute isms that use gendered language, and like my uncle was always saying brother this, brother that to me, and people, they say cutesy things like Mr. Talkie Pants, or I don't know, any kind of thing, Mr. this, Mr. that, and sometimes they say Miss Smarty Pants or whatever, but I mean, not to me. But they were saying, people were saying like, oh, this is Mr. Pretty Hair or whatever, one person said. Between that, and then we were on video chat with my dad, on FaceTime or whatever. I don't have an iPhone, and my brother was like, not to embarrass him, he feels bad, but he was like, hey Dad, it's your two sons, it's your two bros, and I'm like, do we really have to do this like this? And between all that, I got really unhappy, and I snapped at my brother, and I feel really bad about it. But anyway, so that was Christmas, and then the next day, I told my grandmother, and they were like, "Oh, you'll kill your grandmother, you'll kill your grandmother," and she took it really well. That's not the end of the story, but she said, right after I explained the basics to her, she was like, she drew me in for a hug. She was sleeping in her bed, lying in her bed. Drew me in for a hug and was like, "Oh my boy," and then just quickly she was like, "Oh my girl," and I was like, "Oh," but I don't know. So I answered some of her basic questions, and then people kind of interfered. And then she didn't sleep all night and stayed in bed all day the next day. And that's part of what they were worried about her doing, but whatever, I just had to tell her. And in the morning, she started asking me, simple questions and questions about my childhood, you didn't like pink, and you didn't like dolls, and I was like, well, how do you know that? And we did have Barbies for a short time, which I was like not that into anyway, but tomboy, hello. But I don't know, people just see what they want to see. So and my mom did say something that I'm sorry, I keep futzing with my hair. My mom did say that she recognizes that I always had female friends. Like I always gravitated towards female friends, and I got a heater blowing on my hair too. I'm gonna turn it off. or turn it away. Sorry, I'm wasting so much time fucking with my hair. So, she recognized I had a lot of female friends, and that's true. I gravitated towards female friends. That's what I wanted. I mean, guys are cool. I don't know. They're useful and fun and interesting and creative, whatever. Not trying to get into that, sorry. So, I also decided on going to Texas because I didn't want to do Christina the disservice of being distracted while we were trying to be together, like distracted about not being in Texas, about regretting that, so I did that. Anything else I gotta say about this trip? So yeah, my grandmother was asking me simple questions again the next morning after I told her on Thursday, so this is Friday morning, but like quickly segued that into just criticizing me and like, saying I'm always snappy and inconsiderate and secretive and all these things to the family, and I'm like, you guys just have me all wrong, and they have me wrong, and my brother agrees, like I said, and plus I was, basically I was trying to say to her, I know I've had I know I've had some problems, and now I'm in the process of fixing them, and her response was, but you're such an asshole, you've got all these problems, and I'm like, I'm telling you, I've got problems and I'm trying to fix them, so thanks. Um, um, I guess that's enough. That's two different pictures of families' responses. I saw a couple really important friends from high school, and they were really, really supportive. And I got some cool clothes from one person, and connected with people I hadn't seen in a long time. I usually avoid Houston. I fly into Austin, hang out with my brother, go to Houston as quickly as possible for a holiday, and just come back and enjoy Austin. So I've been skipping my old Houston friends, who are dear to me. So, and I guess that's it. It occurred to me that might be my last Christmas where the present tags say Alex. I don't want to complain. I think I got screwed on presents, and I know that sounds selfish, but I think people were not trying to think about me. I think they were trying to ignore, thinking about me. And only like one of my aunts asked me what I wanted for Christmas like 2 days before, and I don't know. There was like really easy practical things I needed, and then people didn't try. Like people got me this dude T-shirt that's the same as my cousin's fiance. Like they got it for him, so they got me one too. And it has this huge bold stripe across the top, like totally accentuating my broad shoulders. And I'm like, not cool. I don't know. And I got like a blanket. I mean, I want a blanket, and a couple little things, and like everybody else got all these, I don't know, fucking things. But anyway, I don't really need stuff. It's better if I get my own stuff. And I did a great job getting people stuff. I got people baller Christmas gifts. So anyway, I feel good. At the airport, at the airport on the way, the guy commented that I didn't look like my ID. And the ID, I didn't have a beard. I had just like a light beard. I don't look that different. I mean, I don't look that different. My face, I do look that different, but it's not like, I had a shaved head or anything, or I had my big beard when I showed up. So it's getting a little dicey maybe that someone called me out on that like my ID is not perfectly congruous anymore, but that's a good sign. Let's see, and along with my family kind of ganging up on me and seeing me as a villain, I think that's partly gender related too. I mean, they like my brother and support my brother, but I think the way in which that they villainize me is like a guy thing, like, oh, that guy. And I think part of their weirdness to me over Christmas was, I'm short-circuiting the gender aspect of that. and I can't be the bad guy anymore. I'm one of the girls, whatever. So we'll see how that plays out. And then one last thing I'll say about this. There's so much more to say, but I'll just keep it to family. It's 25 minutes. 25 minutes. Nobody watches them when they're this long, except like one person, two people. But I had one of my many early worries about my motivations for transition was that maybe I was just rebelling, and rebelling against my family being weird to me, and I'm proud to report that I've gone through all this and like completely exposed myself to the family, and spent all the chips that I would have been like using to gain their sympathy or rebelling against them, and I don't want to stop transitioning. So, rebellion theory invalidated. I like knocking out those fears because I'm just like, yeah, fuck yeah, transitioning, whatever. Okay, so much more to say, and I will say it. I didn't make a video in a long time because I was busy living, and that was important, very important. Growing, spreading my own wings, and being in love. I mean, I've been loving, I've been loving a woman who loves me, and loving a woman who loves a woman, and it's remarkable. It's changing my outlook, among many other things. And I'll talk about Julie. Julie and I hang out. Well, everything's cool. Next episode. Peace.